I'm trying new things on this hike. I walked in and then I turned around and I left. And now I kind of want to go further than what I originally had planned. It has been so long since I've been backpacking. I haven't been in months. It's September 1st in the White Mountains and it feels like fall. It's gonna be a little chilly tonight and it's just the perfect day / night to sleep in the woods. So here we go. So I am currently hiking up the Webster Jackson Trail and my plan is to first hit Mount Webster, and that's where I am going to meet up with the AT. So that would be cool, being back on that trail. And then from there, I hit the summit of Mount Jackson, and then I'm going to spend the night at the Naumann Tentsite, which is right next to Mizpah Hut. And then tomorrow, I will hike Mount Pierce and Eisenhower, and it's gonna be really exciting. I'm trying new things on this hike, so I'll show you them as they happen. Actually quite a few new things, new like ways of hiking, new pieces of gear, because I've just haven't backpacked in so long and I've had all these ideas and now I actually have a free moment to get out and do them. So super pumped for today. So the first new thing that I'm trying out for this hiking trip is a term that I just learned, which is bike spotting. So instead of parking my car, hiking, turning around, and then going back to my car, I actually stashed my bike somewhere at a different trailhead with a bike lock, and it's in the woods. So I can hike this trail, end at my bike, and then bike a few miles back to my car. So I can do a loop and not have to do the same trail over again. So it makes it a little more exciting not having to do an out and back, and it's a new bike, so it's the first time I brought my bike to the White Mountains. Getting close to the first summit of the day, which is Mount Webster. Mount Webster's pretty. I'm only staying up here for a couple minutes because I don't want to bother putting on all my layers because I do have a lot of more hiking to do and I'm just going to warm up again. But had a quick snack, took in the view, enjoyed the breeze. Happy fall. On to the next peak. Also, I almost forgot, I'm on the AT now. Something else new that I'm trying out on this backpacking trip is that I used a website to create my whole entire meal plan for both days that I'm out here, and I made a whole video about it. It's the one that I probably posted before this, and I'll link it in the description, but the only things I'm eating on this hike are things that I got from my meal kit. So if you want everything I ate, go refer to that video. And so far it's been working pretty well. I took all the quizzes, entered in my food preferences, and I got some good stuff that I've never had before on hikes. This is another totally windy and cold summit. Mount Jackson. It's so windy that there's tears in my eyes. I'm crying. Someone just asked if I was a no-bow or a so-bow, which is kind of cool. They thought I was through hiking the AT, but then I got to chatting with him and he ended up being a triple crowner, and he's done the AT 4 times. So that was pretty rad, and maybe that will be me one day. I am getting close to the tent site, which is near an AMC hut. So I most likely will pick my spot at the tent site, set up the tent, and then go hang out at the hut. See what's up. I met the caretaker of the tent site, Christopher Marshburn, who was so nice. I knew of him from the credits of the Backpacker Radio podcast.
Super big thank you to today's Chuck Norris Award winners on Patreon. There's Andrew, Austin McDaniel, Jason Lawrence, Christopher Marshburn.
This was the biggest new piece of gear I was trying out on this trip. It's the Z-Packs Plex Solo, which is probably the lightest weight tent on the market. It's my first one-person tent, and it uses one trekking pole. It was my first time setting it up, and it turned out pretty well. Alright, so this new piece of gear took me a second to figure out at first, but it's a pump sack for my new sleeping pad. And it was a pretty easy way, once I figured it out, to inflate my sleeping pad. It was included with my Thermarest X-Therm pad, and it attaches to the sleeping pad, and you can roll air into it to inflate it. It was pretty cool. And once everything was set up, I awkwardly stood next to my tent because I wanted to be social, but I was also too shy to put myself out there and try to make friends. So I just hiked halfway to Mount Pierce, maybe like 15 minutes uphill. I don't know why, I was just feeling weird at the campsite. Like, I feel like there were a lot of people there, and I was just craving some conversations with day hikers, through hikers, anyone. And I don't know, I just felt lonely. And it's weird feeling lonely when there's so many people around. Like, I just went into my tent and I watched a YouTube video that I had downloaded, and I took a little nap. I got there maybe like 4 o'clock, maybe even earlier. And yeah, now I just climbed up here to get some views, maybe get some service, to call Chet. And I don't know, I'm just feeling weird. Like, when I get back down after this little side trip, I want to just like cook dinner and just be surrounded by other hikers, and I really hope that happens. But we'll see. As soon as I got to the hut, I walked in and I feel like the hut was crowded, and I feel like everyone just looked at me. And I don't know, it's just such a weird feeling. I walked in and then I turned around and I left, and I just felt so awkward. I've never felt like this on a hike. I don't know what's going on. Alright, I got enough service to call Chet and say goodnight because there's no service at the tent. But I'm gonna go back and cook dinner and see what the rest of the night looks like. Wish me luck. Looking out at the presidentials, there's no clouds in the sky, there's no wind. This is a pretty perfect day to be up here. and now I kind of want to go further than what I originally had planned. So we'll see what I end up doing. So I slept pretty well last night. It got to 37 degrees and I stayed pretty warm. I was trying out this new Bluetooth thermometer that my brother got me for my birthday, and it was so cool. It's this little keychain type thing that I hung on the outside of my tent, and then it hooks up to my phone, and then I can see the temperature throughout the night, and it's pretty accurate and it updates constantly. So I could see that it got to 37 degrees, but kind of stayed in the low 40s for the majority of the night. And I stayed warm, which is nice. I had my 10-degree quilt and a really warm sleeping pad, so that was a good idea. This little device is a fun new piece of gear for me, and I will take it on a lot of my future backpacking trips because it gives me a better idea on how my sleep system works for a specific temperature, and that's good information to have. It's from Amazon, and I will link it below if you want to check it out. This is where it's beautiful and it levels out a little bit. So I'm in a good mood right now. I got so lucky on this day because twice a year the AMC huts get resupplied via helicopter, and it's a big process. I just so happened to be halfway up Monroe and had an amazing view for the whole thing. They would drop off non-perishable goods and then take away empty propane tanks. I watched as they made multiple trips to and from the Lake of the Clouds hut. There was a huge crew making this all possible, and it was so neat to watch for myself and to see how it all works. And the spot where I watched it all happen was a literal cliff, and I was hanging on the whole time. So obviously I ended up going a little further than I originally planned to. I was just gonna do Pierce, Eisenhower, and then back down to my bike. But a day like this in the Whites, in the Presidential Range, doesn't happen that often. So I went and hiked Monroe, stayed at Lake of the Clouds for a while to watch the helicopter resupply, and now I'm on my way up Mount Washington. I hung out on Mount Washington for a while and took in the absolutely beautiful day. And from Washington, I took the Jewel Trail down, which was about 4 miles. I met Dan, who knew me from my YouTube videos, and offered to drive me the 2.5 miles from the trailhead to where my bike was stashed because, like I said, I hiked much further along the Presidentials than I had originally planned. So shout out to Dan. Also, shout out to all the people I met on this hike, and especially the caretaker Chris, who hooked me up with the most beautiful tent site. and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.